Hello there. The purpose of this video is to help you navigate through all the material that we provided for you and also give you some ideas on how you might want to present this with students. For starters, you'll see there is a 1P and a 1D relationships unit. These two units are very similar because the expectations for both 1P and 1D are similar. However, the 1P unit are the activities or the assignments or worksheets are slightly been modified for the 1P student. Similarly, we have slightly modified worksheets for the 1D. But if you notice in both of these folders, you'll see there are all the Google Docs and quizzes that were created, any PDFs, and the videos, as well as student and teacher instructions for both the 1D and the 1P folders. Okay, for the purpose of this video, I'll be going through the 1D folder, but the 1P folder or the instructions for the 1P folder are exactly the same. So for starters, what you'll see is this student instruction and teacher instruction Google Docs. So I have them both already open here. And you'll notice that they're actually a little bit incomplete because you need to do a little bit of work as the teacher to create some codes and some docs and quizzes for the students to actually do. If we just gave you links straight to these things for students to complete, then any student in the whole system that was using this would all go to the same spot. And that's not really realistic for you. Okay, so this will help you walk through the things that need to be completed before you actually share this with the students. So for starters, you'll notice anything in red are things that need your attention before you move on. And then once you're done that, you could put it in blue or black, however you'd like, and then share it with the students. You can actually delete this link here, which is the video you're watching right now. All right, and the same thing with the teacher side of things. Once you create the codes for students, you could put it in here and then change it from red to blue or black, and you know that you'll be ready. Also, even though this activity here, the idea with this doc was you could share it with the kids, and the students could then just click on the video link right there and the Desmos activity and any notes or anything like that. They could use this right here. But you might find it easier to organize it in a Google Classroom, which is how I would probably do it. And I'll show you how to transfer this information from this into the Google Classroom and do it there as well. So if we start looking at the student instruction sheet first, you'll see that the most important link is the link to the video. In the video, you will notice that in the video, there are instructions on what to do, which activity you do first, along with the actual math lesson, and then where to go when you're done watching the video. So the video is going to be the most important for students to click on. And they're all there, or you can watch the entire playlist at the bottom. Student would just need to click on here and it goes straight to the YouTube video. Okay. For any Desmos activities, you need to create a class code. So right now, if the student clicked on here, it would just go to student.desmos.com. And if you're not familiar with Desmos, these activities, the teacher would give a code for the student to join an activity. That way, the teacher can modify all the students in their class. So all of the student links for these Desmos activities go straight to student.desmos.com. What you need to do is set up a code for the students to actually enter in. So you would go to your teacher one and click on the same link, and it will actually go to the teacher.desmos.com website. What you need to do is create a class code. If you want to preview it, you can push the preview, and you might think this is probably a good idea actually before you start handing it to the kid to see if you like this activity. So you can go through and actually do the activity and answer the questions and see what happens when you actually do this activity. So this was an interesting activity on robots. Regardless, that's your student preview, but then you're going to create a class code. So you just one button and you've created a class code. And here is the code that we're actually going to use. So once you're ready to use this with the kids, you would copy this code down. So for me, it's 72VDCQ. So I would go back to my teacher thing and I could actually write that down here, 72VDCQ. Maybe put a space between it. And I have this code, and now I can share this code, which is unique to my class, with the students. Again, if I had created this code for you, all the students in the entire board would go to the same spot, and we wouldn't want that. And so now for the student, they would click on this, go to student.desmos.com and type in that code 72V ECQ, and they would join, and now they're in your activity. Okay, and all the instructions go from there. So this is unique to your classroom. That's why it needs to be done first before you share this with the students. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm actually going to put it back in black because I've paid attention to that. There's the code. And for the students, I've got that code ready to go, and I'm going to change this back to black. And so I'm ready to share this code with the students. So that's something you need to do for yourself before you share this with the students. The other option you have is you can actually change this link to go straight to the activity instead of using the code thing. So if we go back here, you'll see that there's the code, but if you go right down to the end here and you click on these 3 bars, you can actually click a student link. Oh, sorry, let's just do this again, student link. And you see there's a link which will actually type the code in for the student. So you could use that as well. So go back to here, go to the student one and change this link. So edit the link. So instead of it just going to student.desmos.com, put in that actual thing, and you'll see it will go straight to the activity for the students. So if the students then click on this and go straight here, it will go directly into your code. So whichever way you'd like or more comfortable with, that's fine. My students are most used to using the code system, so they're going to do that, or you could do both. Okay, so totally up to you. But regardless, this has to be done before you go off and share this with the students. So I mentioned that I'll also talk to you about how you could share all this information instead of in this Google Doc into a Google Classroom. So I just created a Google Classroom called my relationships unit. Of course, the stream is where you would just make any announcements. But what I have is a classwork part with the first 3 days set up as a topic. So I created a topic, called it relationship unit, and then created assignments underneath that. So the first assignment here, I've got it mostly done here. So it's day 1 scatter plots. So watch the video. So there you can add the link straight to the video so the students would do that. Go to student.desmos and do the Desmos activity called robot. Use this code. So we just had that code. So remember the code was 72BDCQ. And we have that. And now if the students click on this, it'll go to student.desmos.com and they can do that code. Or if you want to skip the code thing, just like we did here, remember you can use that link from Desmos, that student link, and then just use the student link right here, and it would go straight to the activity with the code already typed in. Okay, and then I've added the notes for this assignment here. Now, on this day 1, this particular one, I'd have to do the same thing over again with the second Desmos activity. So again, I'd go to the teacher thing, go here, go to the second Desmos activity, which is scatter plots. And again, you can preview it, or you can create a class code and use that code to fill in for the students. All right, and then include that in your classroom post. Next, you'll notice some Google Doc worksheets. And the point of these is for the students to actually complete the work in a Google Doc. And I found this very helpful, especially when you're working in Google Classroom. So right now, on day 2, you watch a video and there's some worksheets that the video goes through and fills out together. But then you ask the students to actually go off and try calculating first differences on their own. So regardless if you're in the student one or the teacher one, if you click on this link, it will ask you to make a copy. Okay, so that way you'll have your own personalized version and we're all not editing the original one. So you're going to make a copy. So you'll see it's called copy this. You might want to personalize this particular one just while it's making a copy here. Let's personalize this by putting your name in the title, your name, And this is your own copy of this then. So if you edit it, you didn't like a question or something like that, you can do that. But we've got this worksheet blank now available to us. So I would encourage you to do that and make it your own. And then when you go off and share it with the class, then you can do it differently. So here we can either have this new link for the teachers where you actually have your own, or if you want, the student version will also ask it to create a copy. Okay, so if they click on the student one, it will also ask to create a copy on this. So that's one way you can do it. That way the student has their own copy and they can submit it to you whatever way you want. However, I think the best way to do this is again through Google Classroom, which is the reason why we did it this way. So I have a second day here, edit the assignment. So again, watch the video, here's a worksheet, but then you want to use this Google Doc and have the students use the Google Doc. Well, if you go off and push add now and go to your Google Drive, the most recent one should be that copy of the doc that we just created. So there it is, teacher name day 2. So I'm going to insert this, and then you'll see that you have the option of either as the students can view this, or what you want to do is make a copy for each student. That way, if you're sharing this on Google Classroom, if once the student go off and click on this, it'll create a copy just for that student, and it doesn't, you don't have to do anything else. They go off and fill in the worksheet, and then when they are done, there'll be a little turn in button and it'll turn it right into this classroom. Okay, so this might be the best way to have it shared with the students. So that's something else, again, that you might want to set up. That's why it's in red. Once you're done that, then, and if you're sharing it through Google Classroom, you don't need to do anything there. But once you have your own version of the Google Doc, then again, I would make this black and say that you've addressed this need. So there it is, that one's there. And in the teacher one, I've made the copy for the students, and that's all done. So I'm just going to make it black again, and I've done that. And I made the copy for the students, so I'm going to make that black, and I'm ready. So you can see how we're using this to get it all set up for the students to actually go off and complete, whether they're using the instruction sheet here, or if you translate all this into a Google Classroom. And now the last thing I want to show you how to do is to share a Google quiz. So right now, again, this is in red on the student instructions because they don't have a link created to do this quiz. You need to create the link for your specific class. So in this one, on day 3, the students start off with a Desmos activity, so you'll need to create a code for that Desmos activity. Then they go to this website and try some questions on there, and they finish off by doing a Google quiz. So on the teacher inside of things, you'll see that you will get, you will have a link to this Google quiz, but you don't want to give this link to the kids because it's the questions in the quiz. So again, we're going to make a copy of it. And again, I would tell you to rename this to something that you makes sense to you. Here and go teacher name, day 3. And again, if you want to move it to a spot that is easy for you to find, then you can do that here. So now this is the personal quiz for your class. And again, if you'd like to go and preview this and make any adjustments or delete any questions, then you can do that. When you go to share it for the students, though, you're going to need to go up and push send. So you click on the send thing, and I would send using a link. So you click on the link here, and there is a big long link. You can shorten it if you want, but I don't care. I'm just going to copy this link. This link is what you're going to share with the students. Don't share the actual quiz because then the kids could change the questions on the quiz. You're sharing the link to answer the quiz. So I'm going to copy this. So once I do that, now I'm going to go off and change this link here. So this is the walk this way, and I'm going to change it. So I'm going to highlight the walk this way, and I'm going to click on link, and I'm going to paste that link that I just copied in right here. So you see it turns it blue. So now when the students go off and click on this, they are going to get the actual quiz that they go off and answer. And they would go off and select which it is and so forth. Okay, so you need to do this again for your own class, because if I had provided this with you, then all the kids in the whole board would be all answering the same quiz, and we don't want that. Okay, so we have that. I'm just going to leave that, and now this is all ready to go to share with the students. If you want to share this on Google Classroom, this is what I would recommend you do. So here's the day 3 walk this way activity. So I'm going to just open it up and see what you have. There's a video to watch. It starts off with a Desmos activity, and I would need to, this is the link on this. I would need to create the link to the Kyle Pearce website. And then it says finish by going to the next post and completing the Google quiz. You could add the Google quiz in right here, but I've decided to change this. So I'm just going to go save the draft. I've decided to create a separate activity. So I created another assignment right here just for the Google quiz, and I'm going to show you why. So here is the Google quiz. It says if you haven't watched the instructions, go back on the post before and do that, and then complete this quiz. So we're going to push add and go to Google Drive. And again, if it's recent, it should pop up as the first option is the quiz that I just had. So, here it is. So that was the, there it is, teacher name quiz. So I'm going to insert this. Now, the best part about this is you don't need to worry about any of the codes or anything like that. But by doing it by itself, you can do this grade importing, which I'm going to leave on. Okay. I know that this quiz is out of 15, so I've made this quiz out of 15, and I'm going to actually assign this right now. Okay, so click on assign. Now, you'll see it's all ready to go. The advantage of having this separate is when the students go off and complete this quiz, it will take the marks on the quiz and bring it exactly right into the marks for Google Classroom. So you don't need to go into the quiz and find out how they did. Google Classroom will do this all by itself, and all the marks will pop up here. Okay, so that's a great way to share Google quizzes with your class. Now that the quiz is all set up, I need to go back and just finish up this last walk this way part. So you'll notice that I need to include the link for the Kyle Pearce walkout website. So again, I can go back to my teacher resource, and there is the link already done for you. So all I would need to do is push copy and go back to my Google Classroom, add link, and paste. Control V, paste, and there's the link to the website that's necessary for this activity. And now this one's all done, and I can assign this day 3 activity. So once you're comfortable with all this, you can take all these links from the teacher instructions and include it in Google Classroom if you prefer to do it that way. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to create an assignment, and I'm going to call this day 7 culminating activities. And then, your instructions, watch the video lesson, complete part 1, complete part 2. Your basic instructions here. All the instructions are in the video lesson, so you don't need to do too much here. Let's just go and see what's necessary. So for part 1, there is a thing that they need to copy. So it's a Google Doc that they're actually going to do. So I'm going to make a copy of this that's just for my class. And again, you can change the title to make it personalized for yourself. So here's the activity. It's all ready to go. I'm going to go back to Google Classroom. So the first thing I'm going to do, is add the video lesson. So I go back here, and here's the day 7 video. So if I click on it and then copy the link, the first thing I'll need to do is go add YouTube and paste that link. And there's the video. And now that's ready for the students. Let's add the part 1. So I'm going to go to Google Drive, and the most recent one should be that copy of the day 7 activity. There it is that I just created. So insert. So there is this. And again, I want each student to make their own copy. So then that's all set. And then part 2, go back here, is just an instruction sheet. So it's just a PDF of the instructions. So again, I'm going to go copy this link, go back to Google Classroom, add link, and paste it. And everything is all set up for this. You can set the points as you want. 100 points or however you want to do it. You might want to do this separately if you want to have a mark for just part 1, part 2, and do them as 2 separate posts. But regardless, you're all set. You can set your topic, choose your relationship unit, choose how much it's marked, and then assign it. Now it'll go back to Google Class. The most recent comes up at the top. If you just click and drag it, it'll go down to the bottom. All right, and this is, I think, a great way to share all this information with the kids. Now, if you have a different way to do it, then that's totally up to you. But the point of this is to all have the student instructions with all the appropriate links that you've now completed. This is for your own reference to get to any of the files that you need, and then you can decide how to share it. Once you're done, I would tell you to delete this up here because the students don't need to have that. And everything else, once you're all completed, will be done, and you can share this with your kids and they can access all of the information all at once. The last thing I want to point out with the student instruction sheet is the last column, which are all PDFs of all of the stuff other than the Desmos activities. These are all PDF versions of the quizzes or notes or anything like that, should you have a student who cannot access any of this work digitally. So they won't be able to watch the videos, but they might be able to get the lesson or try the lesson themselves and get the answers and learn from them there. Okay, the worksheets here are blank and there are answers as well. Even the quizzes, the Google quizzes, if they couldn't answer on Google Quiz, then you'll see that they're actually here in a PDF version. So if I click on this, you'll see the exact same quiz that we did there, but the kids could print it out and actually click on this and answer it by themselves. Okay, so those are all options there. You will notice that I've also included the answers to the quizzes if you want. And you can decide if you want to share this with the kids. They might want to try it on their own and then go off and try the answers themselves. Or you might want to delete this. So you could just delete this and only include the blank version. Up to you. I think I would include the answers for the actual lessons so the students can learn from the lessons. They could try it themselves and then look at the answer. And the quizzes you might want to save, and when they give you the hard copy of the quiz, then you can compare the answers. Up to you. So I've left that option up to you if you want to include the answers. But all the PDFs are here for anyone who needs to do a non-tech version. All of those PDFs are also right here. And so you can decide if you just want to print out this booklet and a student can't do this digitally, they can just use all the PDFs are right there for them to learn and hopefully succeed in this unit. So hopefully all of that makes sense to you, and you can decide how you want to present this stuff. If you want to present it using this Google Doc where the kids just click on these links that you've set up for them, or you can go off to and put it into a Google Classroom and have the students go through day 1, day 2, day 3 and complete the activities there. Totally up to you. I wish you the best luck and good luck with all of this work.